Hello, and welcome to the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina. My name is Bobby Davis. I am the CEO and founder of Coder Foundry, and I'm joined by Kevin Doyle today in this beautiful North Carolina day. A little warm, but it's beautiful outside.
Yeah, it's like 80 today, right? Which is kind of
Yeah,
toasty, but it's
yeah.
all right. It's nice outside. I haven't really been out.
I've been
So,
out today, so that's why I'm
okay.
late. I've
Yeah,
been out and about, so I had
I've
to do
been
some stuff
uh
this
I've been
afternoon.
in the air conditioning all morning,
Yeah,
and it's like one of those things. The end of the day yesterday, it was a hot day yesterday too. I went out yesterday. I was like, man, it is hot out here. I hadn't been out all day, and it's like you forget. Like, you wear shorts and
yeah,
t-shirt like around the house all day, and then it's like you go outside, and I'm like, wow, it is actually kind of sticky out here. It's finally the summer has arrived in North Carolina, and it will stick here now
yeah. It's
until September.
it's supposed to be hot all week this week, so it's kind of
Yep,
cool.
yep.
So, did you see where Amazon bought MGM Studios? Is
It's
that
one of
kind
the
of
things I have on the list to talk about. Because look, I literally had this queued up already. We haven't really talked about this stuff, but yeah, I was like, I know we need to talk about this. Like
yeah?
8.45 billion.
So what's
8.45
funny
billion
about this
dollars.
to me? That's a lot of money to buy James Bond. But like
Hold on, it's not just James Bond. You're forgetting Stargate.
Stargate, yeah, no, that's the notable IP.
I mean,
Legally Blonde. I'm waiting for that sequel.
don't don't discount Legally Blonde, don't you?
Yeah. I
Has
guess
a
they
has a
could make a
following.
Legally Blonde kind of zombie crossover thing,
Now
or
that
something
would be
like that.
cool. Maybe there's going to
Yeah,
be a thing where there's like, Jeff Bezos now starts appearing in MGM movies. Is that going to be a thing too? He's going to be the Stan Lee of MGM movies. Is that
yeah,
is that going
exactly.
to be a
Jeff
thing?
Bezos.
He has a cameo in all the movies now. I could see that
Right,
happening. They're going to have to recut this James Bond that's on its way out soon. Just have this one extra scene where
right.
where Jeff Bezos pulls up in his private jet or something crazy.
Exactly. That's what I think. And then there was RoboCop was the other notable IP. So it was kind of funny.
Okay.
Then I read the article about it, and they said the notable IPs in it was James Bond, Stargate, Legally Blonde, and
Yeah.
RoboCop. I'm like, okay, I'm not ready for that Legally Blonde reboot. I'm really not.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah, they say, oh, Rocky. There's another one too. Look, just looking at
Rocky,
this.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
looking at this thing here.
We'll
Look, it
give
was
you some
James. They
stuff
have
here.
Rocky listed here, which is pretty good. I'm guessing that does pretty well still. And TV stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't realize they had Handmaid's Tale. I didn't know that was MGM. It's Hulu, but I guess MGM
yeah,
was
and
was
Vikings on
create it.
the
Oh
History
yeah,
Channel
that's
property.
pretty good too. Yeah, that's pretty popular. And then The Voice and Shark Tank. So there is some stuff in here, but this article doesn't even mention Legally Blonde, like or
I
Stargate.
mean, is it
Like
$8 billion worth of stuff? I mean,
I don't
apparently they
know.
think so.
It is weird though. Think about it, right? So the little buck company from the West Coast that started out that turned into the world's biggest cloud provider now
Yeah,
owns literally one of the biggest movie studios. Like
they
that's
do.
kind of a big deal. If you'd have
Mhm.
said 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, Amazon's gonna own MGM, you'd have been like, are you crazy? MGM's gonna own
Exactly.
Amazon, right? You'd
Right.
have thought of
Yeah.
this the other way
Exactly.
around. It's kind of crazy. It shows you how powerful big tech is. That
Yeah.
shows you. I mean, they can drop $8 billion on an acquisition too. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. $8 billion for James Bond. So I guess you play your cards right. You can make 4 movies maybe and get it back. I mean,
Right.
maybe five.
But is the next James Bond going to be Daniel Craig good? Like I don't know. Maybe not. These were you know
I mean, if they go ahead and get Idris Elba before he's 70, maybe.
maybe I could see that. I could see he's the only one that's on the list that I'm like, yeah, I really want to see that. Like that would be
Yeah.
amazing to see.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Um, yeah, there might be some different people here today because we're kind of late. I see. I'm not
Okay,
going to go
cool.
through all the people that are here, but look, there's somebody here. Realize that's finally
Hey,
catching
thanks
us
for
live.
coming
So,
in.
cool. Well, thank you for watching us anyway when we're not live. We appreciate that too.
Yeah, thanks.
Definitely. But yeah, and then a whole bunch of people here that are always here, and again, we always appreciate that too. Um, is this true? Is he really stepping? Is that a thing? He's still part of the company though, right? He's just not going to be the CEO or whatever. Isn't that a
Yeah.
thing?
Dude, that's what billionaires do, man. I mean, like, no, he's just not going to be day to day, man. He's in charge, though.
Yeah,
He's
right.
just like he's just not going to look at the P&L anymore. He knows it's big.
He's going to get somebody else. Exactly. He's getting somebody else to do the actual work. He's just
Yeah,
gonna, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
I
But
mean,
trust me, something big happens. He has a say in it, doesn't he? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
it's not
But
gonna just,
other than
yeah,
that, so I'm good.
yep,
Got to go spend some of this money.
exactly.
So,
We will do our usual Q&A today too. If you guys have questions, throw them in chat. I will queue them up, and we will get to as many as we can. As usual, if you super chat, those will take priority. I'll make sure we do those when they come up.
yeah.
If halfway through a question, we'll wait until the next one.
Kevin and Bobby Taco Fund. So, if you want to contribute to that.
Which we already had tacos today, though. But, it's tacos for tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
While we're doing that, too, one other thing, which we haven't talked about yet either, but I thought this was super interesting. So, this might not be... Well, this isn't technically new news, but I saw a BBC article on it, and I thought it was interesting. So, we've talked about movie theaters, right? And, how movie theaters coming back and whatever, but... This I thought super interesting. Would you rent a movie theater to play a game?
I would play Destiny on a movie screen.
Right? I'm thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, would I play a game? Yes, I would. Would I have a giant 24-meter movie screen in front of me? Yes, I would. That would be epic. That would be good, right? So this is a really popular theater. This is the one in London in Leicester Square, which Cineworld in Leicester Square is it's a big deal. It's a big movie. It's a big movie chain.
But you know what, Kevin? We got to make sure that latency is very low. We can't be having high latency. You got to get your equipment right.
I do wonder about that. I do wonder how it all connects in. What does that connectivity look like? Because these guys are actually saying you can bring your own console, and they'll plug it in for you. They have the ability to plug it in and do whatever you want. You bring your own controllers, your own console. They'll literally hook you up with whatever and let you play.
Okay. All right. With HDMI connection, cool. You'll get right there at it.
I guess. I guess.
I know projectors have latency latency, so there's a difference in them.
Yeah. I just wonder what the experience is like. I would want to try it. It's £120, $170 for 2 hours is what you get.
Okay.
I'm it's kind of expensive too. If it was $100 for 2 hours, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe the next time I fail at the raid, I'll do it from a movie theater.
Right. So. That's what I'm saying. You stream from a movie theater. We have the cam up here with you, the movie theater, looking down. Imagine how epic that would be.
We'd have a B and a C cam, and that we could multicam it.
Exactly. But also imagine how it sounds. I think that's going to be the thing that's going to sell it, right? Can you imagine the whole the Dolby Atmos sound surround you and it'd be amazing. Yeah. I think
gotta make sure they have a good internet connection. That's the thing they need.
Well, I don't know about that either. Yeah, what does that work? Is it more for casual gaming? I don't know. Can you play them online? I don't know. They're not that clear about it, so I don't know if you can or not. It would kind of suck if you
couch co-op from the movie theater. That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Call of Duty Zombies, something like that.
Yeah. I'd still like to play Mario Kart on it, in the picture there. That'd be super cool. I would totally be up for that. If anybody rents one of those, let us know. We'll be there. We'll be there to play along with you.
Oh, cool. Thank you, man. Taco Fun contribution quicks. Thank
you so much. That will get us...
We got to show him on the leaderboard now. We got to show Quicks on the leaderboard now.
Do. Hold on 1 second. Here we go.
There we go. Quicks.
Top of the board.
Al Antonio's getting pushed down the pipe now. So.
I don't think Al Antonio / Alantino is here at the moment. I don't know. Let me see, actually. Hold on. I don't see a comment, so maybe not.
All right. Cool.
So if you guys want to push him off the board while he's not here, you can. It's I think that's okay.
But yeah, I would totally game in a big thing like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty epic. I hadn't thought about that, but they probably should have done that during the pandemic too.
Split screen action. That would be awesome too, man. You get your
it would, because your screen's actually giant for a change. It's not some tiny little blip in the corner, right? You're not trying to be sat right next to it.
4-player script, and you always catch the guy's screen looking at you. Hey man, quick, look at your own screen. It'd be impossible to movie theater.
Exactly, because he's going to be quit looking at my screen. You actually see him look at it. Oh, that's funny. I'm queuing up some questions here too that you guys had. Do this one first. Bobby's favorite programming language in the universe where C# never existed.
Oh, I don't know.
What would you be doing if C# was an option for you for some reason today? What would be your second choice today?
I would probably be I would be doing anything server side, whatever was important at that point in time. So I'm telling you right now, people don't believe me. I like C#. C# gets you paid. So I want to do things that get me paid. So probably if C# didn't exist, I would imagine it would be Java. I would imagine that's the language that would be the dominant server-side language.
A lot of the C# stuff would be Java.
Yeah.
Stuff, so yeah.
I think so. Even in a world with JavaScript on the back end, which is a very in our world, recent introduction. You know, Node.js been around for a minute, but like
Yeah.
for it gaining popularity, it may be JavaScript. I don't know.
You know what's funny? I saw a tweet this morning, and I can't remember who tweeted it, but I read it this morning, and I was like, okay, it boggles my mind. The tweet was this question, but it basically said, if JavaScript didn't exist, what would you choose as your backend language? I was like,
Exactly.
I was like, what do you
everyone's
mean?
doing JavaScript anyway.
like, what do you mean? Like, is that a serious question? Like,
actually, you know what? I take it
is.
back, Kevin. You know what? I'm gonna go full bore on this. I'm gonna reframe my answer. If C# was never invented, it'd be VB.net, because that's what I was doing before they invented C#. So that's Microsoft would have kept rolling with VB.net. So that's probably what I would be doing.
Okay.
Because that's
what you were doing before, and if they would have carried it through, that would make sense.
So staying with the Microsoft theme, wouldn't roll over to Java, VB.net.
That's funny. If I have a follow-up question to this, if Microsoft tomorrow stopped supporting C# and decided they were going to kill it, where would you go then?
So if I had to go with what's out there right now, so I would start looking at JavaScript on Node on the back end and see where Java is at right now. And I would compare the two, and then I would look around to see who's doing what, who's getting paid to do what. So if Microsoft just quit making active server pages, is what you're saying,
right?
And they no longer are going to produce languages.
They decided they only wanted to do Windows and Xbox.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't see happening.
But yeah, that would be the prominent choices right now, I think, when you had to go server side. So probably be installing Node. That's be the first thing I would do, probably. Just look at it, see what people are.
And also, guess what? We'll be telling you guys to learn that too.
Yeah.
And we'll be teaching it in the bootcamp. We'd have to rewrite everything. The course would be delayed until summer 2022. And you guys would all be yelling at us, being like, is it today? Exactly. Is it today? Is it today? No, it's not today.
Yeah.
Yes, they're not making it anymore.
We're putting it together, though. We're working on it. There is some assembly going on right now. I'm sure the guys are working on it right now.
You know what? So. I might even, before I put up this next question, I might put out a teaser image later.
Okay. I like that.
Little back office sort of teaser image. Show some of the content in there, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe I'll do that later. I might throw it in Discord. So if you're not in Discord, join Discord. I think I'll put it on there after we're done here.
Yeah.
Okay. Question. Jean Dre says, hey guys, see a lot of tutorials on coding and web dev. I don't seem to find anything on planning software or project planning. Does the course cover anything like this?
So I don't think overtly. I think what we do, though, as a skill that we try to teach the people coming and taking the course is we cover what are we going to build? Like, what are we trying to do? Instead of just jumping right in and saying, let's write a controller or let's write this model, we give you like broad overviews and in-depth overviews of each project in depth so that when you start building the components of this, you understand the end goal. And I think the main thing about planning software projects or movie trilogies, for that matter, Star Wars being included in this, you should be knowing where you're going to go. You know, like in other words, like you see the J.J. Abrams article, hindsight, we should have planned Star Wars.
Oh, so, you think?
And so like he says it makes it easier when you can set up things in the beginning and you know where it's going to pay off. So like the same holds true for software projects. So we try to know what we're going to build. Now, here's the cool thing I would say about, and the reason we teach MVC, is when you have a design pattern, once you have your overall things, now you can start thinking of things like, okay, what are my models for this? And that's the next step we go through. We say, all right, what are the models for the bug tracker? What are the models for the blog? You know, and then when we get those models built out, the relationships between them, and then we start planning, okay, what are our views? What are the major views that we're trying to build? You know, and then we build views off those models, and then controllers just basically sit in the middle. And so I think that's how you can cover project planning. So if you have all your models designed, and then you have the steps of the views that you're going to build, you can then put the view creation part of that in your planning software, and you can start checking those things off. I've got this one built, that one built, and that one built. And then once you go into the view side, you can actually look at that and break that down even further and say, okay, there's this 4 or 4 pieces of functionality or 3 pieces of functionality in this that I can put in a bullet list, and I can start checking that off too. And I think if you do that, if you know where you're going to go, then it's easy to create a plan that you can just basically check off. Because like even Gantt charts and all these things that people do are really, really complex, very well laid out to-do lists. Like,
Right.
okay, we've got to do this. These are the actions that we need to create, and this is what's involved in that action that I need to do.
Yep.
So it's no more complicated than that, as complex as the software projects can get. But in general, you got tasks and you complete tasks and you check them off your list, and you end
We
up with the software.
provide, as part of the course and part of the projects too, we do give you an SRS document too. So you can kind of follow from the very beginning. It's one of the first things in one of the very first steps. It's like, hey, here's what you're going to build. Here's the software requirement spec document at a high level, and tells you all the things that you're going to build, and then obviously that gets broken down.
Right.
So we do.
So, if you're out there and you're not coming to the bootcamp and you want to build the one coding project and you want to build a bug tracker, ask yourself, what is a bug tracker? What is it supposed to do? Maybe go look at some other software out there and say, okay, that's what that does. Okay. All right. So now I sort of know what it needs to do. Then you can
build your own spec from that, can't you?
Yeah. What are the data elements I got to track? And that defines, in our world, NBC world, that becomes the models of the things that I need to save or update or show. And then after that, then you start building your UI interface. And you can do that on paper, or you can do something like Balsamiq. You can do a lot of things. And you can build a plan pretty easily.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good question. Hope that helps.
That is a good question. Here's one that probably doesn't have a great answer, but Dennis wants to know the benefits of using C# over Java for server-side language. And hey, from Canada. And hey, back.
Honestly, Kevin, you're much cooler if you use C#. That's what the C stands for. It's cooler.
It's cooler. I like it. That's funny.
No, I think in general, where we approach this all the time, Dennis, is we are looking at the job market. Like, what are people trying to hire for? And where's the most of those jobs out there? And so we're looking at C# being more kind of in vogue right now for web development, which we think is the other best job, or the most lucrative job that you can get right now, and the most in demand job. So while Java it definitely has its benefits, it has its pluses and minuses, just like C# does. It's got things like MVC, like Spring MVC, something like that you can build things very similar to ASP.NET. It's just that more people are doing with ASP.NET. I think that's the main benefit that we see.
You'll find there's different markets for both of these things too. They'll flip-flop all the time. Like in a certain market, Java will be here and C# will be in the other market. It's this way around. And it's like, it just depends on where you want to get in and where those jobs are too. That's an important thing to look at.
And the big thing too is the evolution of the language. So when you look at the evolution of C#, you see that what Microsoft is doing, they're constantly innovating on the language side, the tooling side, everything like that. So you know that because of that time and effort they're putting in there, they're going to sell that to the enterprise, and the enterprise is going to adopt it. And guess what? Then the jobs come out, and you start saying, okay, we're doing ASP.NET and C#. So having said that, Kevin, hey, if you would like to work for Cortex, I do have a job for someone that's doing C# ASP.NET development. So I put it out on my LinkedIn. I've put it out on Twitter. If you're following me on LinkedIn and that sounds like you, hit me up. ASP.NET Core. Believe it or not, guess what the stats for this job are? I need ASP.NET Core, SQL Server, and Bootstrap.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. It's exactly what we teach in the thing. The problem is, the reason that it's not going to be a recent CF grad is that our client is looking for someone with 5 to 8 years experience, total experience in web dev, not .NET Core experience. I get that. It's been around for, not been around for 8 years. But like in general, you've been doing web dev for 8 years or 5
they want a senior who can kind of operate alone, right? That's kind of the
and there's a lot of complexity around that, but guess what? They want Azure DevOps. AWS experience is a plus. So just write down right down the middle for us that we teach in the course. I'm sure there's someone out there that can do that kind of stuff.
You know what I base C# and Java on? Their logos.
Yeah, exactly. We got to always look at the logo.
Look at that. Look at the logos. Look at that terrible thing. Look how nice that is. Microsoft did something right there.
So,
for a change.
Why is the logo so boring on C#?
I don't know, but it's better than the Java one. Look at this. I mean, I'm not a fan.
It's been around for a minute.
It has, like, it screams 1980 something. Maybe,
it does.
Maybe 90s. I don't know. Something about it just feels really dated. I don't know. They need to, come on, Java, get your...
Well, Dennis, I hope that helps. And hello from the U.S. And I hope you're finding things happy and healthy in Canada. That's cool.
Okay. Next question.
And it may...
Patricio, do you have advice for how to find problems people are having to come up with solutions for aspiring indie hackers? Oh, that's a good question. Like, how do you find a problem to solve with software? How do you come up with a project, I guess? So he's actually already given you a hint here, right? He already knows kind of to find the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But he's saying, like, how do you find that problem?
So I learned this a long time ago that one of my early jobs, this guy that I worked for would walk around with a notebook and he would see problems that he has in his daily life, and he would write those things down. And then the question was, can software solve this? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes it was no. So I tend to do that now. I think in terms of systems now, I just do. Like I look at someone planting a tree and I'm like, man, could I put a system on that? Like, like so.
Right.
I think when you see paper, you should ask the question, can software fix that?
Yeah.
When you see a truly manual process that could be automated, you want to look into that. So those are the types of things that I see. Or when there's a landscape change, like COVID comes out, is there anything that happened in the marketplace here that a new software system like COVID could have fixed? Now, obviously, that's Zoom and Teams, but like the restaurant industry is definitely going through a revolution around software, things like that, with different ways of. You see DoorDash and all those kind of companies that really.
They have to have done amazing over this whole thing. They have to have done. Between restaurant companies like DoorDash and the shopping delivery companies too, going to the store for people is kind of a big deal. I've definitely taken advantage of that during this whole thing.
And so, not to say that I'm a prophet by any stretch, but I gave a talk at UNCG, a local college here, I think 5 or 6 years ago. And the same question was posed to me. What would I do right now if I want to come up with an entrepreneurial idea on software? And I remember remarking, just saying, hey, just look at Uber and look at any kind of thing that could be shared on a micro level. In other words, like what you're doing with Uber is you're sharing that car on a micro transaction level. Right. And so what other things could be shared at that point? I said, that's where I would go. That's what I would do. Unfortunately, I didn't write Airbnb. Right. But like, so like,
but you're right.
When you think about the software engineering on Airbnb wasn't hard. I mean, it's not like Airbnb is hard. They captured a market on, and now you see fractional jets and fractional whatever, like car sharing. And now you see delivery services as well has been fractionalized where the person just comes in, you rent the person instead of paying a delivery driver for full time. You fractionally get a delivery driver to deliver food. And so that's DoorDash and Grubhub and, whatever, all those other services that are out there.
Uber Eats. Those are popular ones. So, I think they're very regionalized too. I think I think those are the ones that are maybe big here, but I think every country kind of has one of those, their own version of that too, which is interesting.
Yeah, in that same talk, I also said that the thing that I really liked was hyperlocal. So like things that are like super hyperlocal. And when I mean hyperlocal, maybe your town or your neighborhood. And I said, look at like problems that can be solved just in that little small pocket. And you saw a lot of those things spring up around that, with Nextdoor and selling stuff hyperlocally, and Craigslist was already there doing it, So I said, these are people that are already doing it. But look at Craigslist. I remember talking to him, like, look at Craigslist and see what else could I do with Craigslist? Right. What else could I do with Uber? Those are the things that I think have shown to be cool,
Awesome.
And then, Patricio, we need another social media platform. So like,
well, here's the thing: we are going to get one at some point, for sure. There is the next. There is the next thing coming, and maybe it exists already. Yes. Maybe it's in the works. Maybe it doesn't exist yet. But there will be something post Facebook, post Twitter. It definitely will exist. Web 4.0, whatever you want to call it, the fourth generation of like social media. It will happen, and somebody will create it. It just depends on what it is, and it might not be what you think it is, because like I think we've talked about this before, but if somebody pitched you Twitter before Twitter, you'd be like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard.
I thought TikTok was stupid.
Right.
Like, that's never going to catch on. That's dumb. We've already had Vine, you know what I mean? Like, right. But it didn't work. Somehow it worked. So like, same thing with Snap, Snapchat, and Instagram.
Yep.
Even though Facebook ended up collecting Instagram in their portfolio of companies, but like, I think that's going to be the other thing. The big revolution that's coming down that I've said this a lot when I talk to people is driverless cars. When all the cars become driverless, which we could see that in reality in our lifetime. Yeah. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's a decade, but I think it's closer to 5 than it is 10, in my opinion. I think that can happen pretty quick. What does that screen become in that car? I mean, like, suddenly
it becomes a giant billboard is what it becomes.
Yeah.
Imagine serving ads to that, because that's what we're going to see. Trust me.
And the person that wins at that could be the next Google.
Yeah.
And then and suddenly Google isn't as dominant because they're serving ads up on websites. And like,
which nobody's going to anymore, because they're now served in some sort of car, in some weird other system,
some kind of AR system, like an augmented reality system. So like, I think those are the two things that I find super interesting, anyway, so hopefully that helps out. Hey, if I inspired your idea, you can always give me a free stock option or something. Yeah. So.
At least let us demo it. At least let us play.
Yeah. Let us demo it, give me some credit, love, a little dap.
Okay. Let's see. Brent. Mr. Brent Witten is 51 years old with no coding experience in a job or reasonable prospects for coding future. Freelancing or job? I've been told getting a job would be near impossible at my age.
So, Brent, you need to use the word nigh. That's the word you need to use there, nigh impossible.
Nigh impossible.
Yeah, that would sound more like foreboding. I don't think it's impossible, dude. I don't think that. So think about this. If someone would hire you as a freelancer, why wouldn't they hire you as a full-time employee? And so that's what I think. I think it's way easier to get a full-time job than it is to build a consulting company on the freelancing.
Freelancing's hard.
Sure. It's way hard. It's way more than you think to do. So what I would advise you to do is make sure that you build a portfolio with projects in it to prove that you can code. Now, no one's going to hire you and train you to code. That's not going to happen. So you're going to have to train yourself somehow, some way. Now, you can come to coderfoundry.com and apply and be a part of a bootcamp. You can take our self-paced course. You could go out and go to, all the other kind of free code camp and all those other sources. You can go to a different bootcamp. You can go to a college. There's a lot of ways that you can learn how to do this. But at the end of the day, when you get done learning, I think you need a portfolio with projects that you can show. And if you can show someone you can do something, you can get hired. 51's not too old.
Yeah. Yep. We get the question a lot, like, what's the oldest person you've had, like, graduate from the boot camp and get a job? And it's been, the one that we remember, I think, was 59.
59, yeah.
But I think there's been a few people around that age, too. So,
right.
Way closer to retirement than you are, Brent.
Yeah, exactly. So like, if you've done it and you can show it, then you'll get a job. Now you also can do both. You can freelance and get a job and work at it. So
also the other thing you can do at 51, I'm assuming you have some experience in something, right? So you can also leverage that too. So let's say that you I don't know, worked on airplanes or something. So you can leverage that experience in a software job that's maybe related to it.
Yep.
That's the other thing you can do as well. Trust me, they companies will value your experience even if it's not in the exact field that you're applying for.
Yeah, and you got to sell it too. So I've told this story quite a bit, Kevin. I remember consulting, helping a friend out on a project, and he was using an offshore team in India. And what they were doing is building custom golf clubs. And they were just way behind. They couldn't get to do it. And I walked in the room, and I don't want to say I'm the smartest guy in the room, but I noticed something real quickly. And I just said, can I ask a question? I was supposed to sit there and just take notes and be quiet. And I said, sure. And I said, how many of you guys have played golf before? Not a single guy had ever played golf. And I'm like, that's your problem.
Wow.
That's the problem. I
Is
mean,
that
like in
true?
other words,
They never played golf, but they were making custom golf clubs.
No, the company they'd hired an offshore team in India.
Oh, okay.
So
Gee,
they
I was
just
like, oh, you
lacked,
worried me for a second. I was like, why are they even
no, they
doing
lacked
this?
understanding of like
Yeah.
what they were even about or what they were
Okay.
doing. Like it was just no kind of like there was a big disconnect on what we're trying to do. Like,
Yeah.
why would someone assemble these parts together? Why can't you just buy it pre-made? And we know that everyone in golf wants the latest widget and they want to like make it their size and all that kind of stuff. So we understand it. So I think that's where when you can bring your exterior experience to a marketplace that also now is code. I mean, it makes sense. It's really hard. I can do this. It's really hard to get someone to code up mortgages if they've never bought a house.
Yeah.
It's like really hard for them to understand like what.
Yeah, the terminology, it just doesn't make sense, does it? Yeah.
Same thing with medical systems. If you don't understand like things and you're building medical systems and you just don't know. I can remember when I was coding pension systems, working for the actuary, it took me a while to understand kind of like what they were trying to do with the math part of it.
You almost have to become that subject matter expert to be able to sort of like that can take a minute. But if you already bring that to the field and you're already there and you already understand the problem, then a company will 100% value that. I guarantee it. So look at whatever your previous experience is, Brent.
So Brent, start learning right now. Start learning to code right now, and then see what you can do. And I would start off with free to next to free resources to see if you really, really like this. Definitely. And then after you get some stuff under your belt, maybe then look into a boot camp or college or something like that. So, but it's not nigh impossible.
Just a quick shout out to BKG from Nottingham checking in.
Okay.
My part of the world.
Okay.
Where I'm kind of from, near there. So,
cool. Probably raining.
Probably. Let me see. Wargamer, is that Wargamer House? Maybe I'm going with WA Gamer House, Washington Gamer House. Maybe I'm gonna go with Gamer House. Started my summer internship next week. Awesome. Advice on how to turn an internship into a full-time job. Oh, I like that aspiration right there.
Do a good job. I mean, like show up every day, be attentive, be committed to whatever they're doing. Make friends, not enemies. That kind of stuff. And then just try to take on as much as you can during that internship and turn it into a full-time job.
Yeah, I think willingness is a big thing, isn't it? If you're willing to be there and go the extra mile and put in the extra time and that kind of stuff, that's going to take you a long way.
And even if Gamer House, the job doesn't occur where the internship was, still doing a great job making friends, not enemies. When they call in for a reference, they'll say, man, we just didn't have anything, but Gamer House was amazing.
Right.
And that's the other thing that you can do.
Yep. Also, use your real name. It's just because that will be kind of weird. Okay.
He's a gamer.
Sorry.
You're a gamer.
Side. Let me see. What's an interesting topic? And we have talked about this a lot kind of over the last year and more over the last year. But Mr. Waffles, is it harder to get hired remotely as a web developer?
Well, I'm trying to hire someone that will be on site, and I'm having a hard time finding someone that wants to go on site. So like, I think it depends on your skill set and your experience. And it depends on the company. Some companies they're going to go back to in person. They just are. I mean, like
some are for sure.
Yeah. I thought that, my thinking has changed on this, and it's like, 1 year of like remote, and then I start talking to companies, they're all going back in person. So maybe this trend to remote may be harder than, I think there's going to be more remote work as a web developer, but I think still a lot of it's going to be in person.
Right. I think you're right. I don't think it's everything. I think there is going to be more, but it's not everything like it was for the past year. I think that's going to be the trend, because you're right. They specifically, this particular job, they had, the previous employer was remote, right? Now they want somebody who's going to be on site. So they're seeing the value of having somebody on site in this particular role. So, and that's not unusual. We've seen that a few times.
Oh, thank you, Brent. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks
Brent, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Yeah, glad we could help.
The taco fund.
There you go.
Good luck in your learning. Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll check it out.
Wilfredo just related to that too. Wilfredo just says, try a Udemy course. Yeah, and definitely do that. You at least know you won't spend a massive amount of money Just to
I like his thing. Do
oh,
not
they
pay
do not
full
pay full
price.
price. No, that's true. No, that's true, right? Because if you, it is like one of those things. If you've never been to Udemy before and you go on I'm going to call it an off day, right? A day when
Yeah.
everything isn't on sale. You're going to be like, man, okay, this costs $99. I guess I'm buying it. Like, and you go.
Personally, I think it's in. I think they're checking a cookie to see if you've been there before.
I don't know if they are or not. I don't know if they have days or what they do. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think some days though, definitely it isn't on sale. It's more often on sale than not, right? So
You could test it though. You could go incognito one day and see if it's really on
I think
sale.
I did that before because I thought that exact same thing. But if
Yeah.
you go there right now today, look, even today, which is it's the weirdest. I don't know how they can get away with this sales tactic. But look at this bar at the top. Look, 24-hour sale extension, dude. It's always on sale. I don't understand this. It's always
That's
this.
the
It's always
price.
12 hours.
Yeah.
These things are always these prices, with the exception of about one day every few weeks where they're not. And if you haven't like been there before and you see this at $129, you're like, okay, that's not bad. I'll buy that. Tomorrow it's going to be $13.99. So
Yeah.
Udemy's pricing scheme is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never
I don't know how
understood
it
it.
works.
Never understood it. Just very, very strange. Okay, let's go to the next one. Quick has a question. Says, what's your number one tip for explaining a programming related concept to a less experienced developer?
A lot of times we use we compare it to something you already understand. So like when we compare objects.
Car analogy is like a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you try and put it to something that's kind of a common.
So for example, like if we were explaining objects, we would use the real world example in the object. So we would say, okay, so go look at your car. What are the things that you immediately stand out to your car right off the bat? And you write those things down. Those are properties on your model. So like one of the things that you would see right away would probably be color. So we'd say, okay, a car has a color. What else? Kind of like, and then you can get into like make. Okay, yeah, who made it? That'd be Ford, Chevy, Volvo, Mercedes, whatever. And then model would be another one. Like, hey, what's the model of it? Is it Ford Explorer, Ford Mustang? Is it the new Ford Lightning? Things like that. And so like you really easily can go down, and now what you've created is an object, okay, that has properties of a car. And now what we say is, now what we want to do is when we fill in those properties, like with Ford Explorer, make Ford, and it's the color white, and it's four-wheel drive, then that becomes a real car. So you went from class to object, which is an object is an instance of a class. So once it becomes real and has real properties in it, it becomes an object. So that's how I would do it. Hope that helped. Hope everyone now knows what a class and object is.
But I think, yeah, the overall thing there is try and compare it to something that the person may be familiar with.
Right. Yeah. And then better yet, then when we explain it that way, then we would build a car site after that, so that we would tie it all together. I see so many times where the abstract or the sample doesn't lead to the app, and that's what I have so much a problem with when they teach it. They'll teach it one way, and then you build something completely different, and you never connect those two. And I think the learning is a lot slower when you do that. The uptake's slower when you take the real world example and just build it out. So
there you go. You can give a one word answer to this question. Well, two words.
I think people are just like setting me up now, right? They just want me to hear me say it.
I don't know. Let's just
start, baby.
Okay, and let's just move on. Gratis Media, greetings. Maybe the issue is getting a job. It's a problem. Programming is a high valued skill, so I'm not trying to get a job. Oh, I'm being compensated and paid to complete a project. I'm not sure if there's a question in there.
Okay, so I don't know what the question is, but it sounds like you want to be a freelancer, which is fine. So a job is somewhere you have to be every Monday morning at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and you're there 40 hours a week, and you have a paycheck and a 401k, and you have all those things. And so the salary is guaranteed whether the work is there or not. Freelance is you always got to have a job or a gig that you're working on. So they're two different ways to do it. So if you don't want a job, I get it, man. Work on your own time, complete your projects, take the projects you want to work on, work from wherever you want because you're doing it for you. I get it. It's definitely possible to do. I just think the skill level to being a successful freelancer is higher than being a successful at a programming job. You don't have to like do accounting or sales or anything like that. You
Exactly.
just show up and write.
Sales being the biggest one. It's just
Yeah,
it's like a lot of
right.
people want to be developers and want to kind of like headphones on and kind of lock yourself away and be in the zone. And you definitely don't get to do that all the time as a freelancer. You've got to be sales,
Yeah.
sales, sales. Otherwise, you're not gonna have anything to work on.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it can be rewarding too. I'm not saying don't go for it. I mean, just go for what makes you comfortable.
Right. Follow up from Brent. He also says, thinking of doing a church website. Since I'm in church work, I've been updating our church WordPress site. Nothing too complicated. Signed up for your course. Can't wait. So yeah, you can leverage that for sure. That's experience
So,
in a niche, in a field.
Brent, I did that. I mean, I wrote a content management system way back in the day called Church CMS, and we did church sites for a while, and then we quit doing it for various reasons. But since then, I've watched that market real closely, and there are a lot of CMSs that are out there that have sprung up since then that do specifically church and mobile sites. And to this day, I still think there's room to get into that market. You know, and then there's also room to say maybe those CMSs don't work for them and they need something a little bit more custom than they want. So like, then you can work on WordPress, things like that. So I think you have two markets when you're in the church market. I think that you have a small church market. You've got to be in the CMS game, something that's really kind of monthly, small. They don't have a lot of money. And then you have the mega church market, the people that have 2,000 people coming on a weekend or whatever. They do have more of a budget for this stuff. And then maybe looking for something custom that a CMS can't really offer them at this point. So
I would also say too, if you are experienced in WordPress as well, dig into that a little bit too. There are you can make money with just knowing WordPress.
And nothing too complicated maybe for you, but for other people,
right? For other people,
like
it is
exactly.
Yeah, don't underestimate your knowledge. If you're already talking about like, you're updating the WordPress site, trust me, you know more than 90+% of people that are out there about that stuff just by doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me see. I don't know if somebody does this real quick. I don't know if they know you or me. We both have glasses. But if you're interested in the glasses, links down below.
Yeah, if you want some pixels.
You can buy them. Yeah, would you get 10% off? Is it 10% off? I think it's 10% off.
Yeah.
Coupon code's down in the description.
They're nice.
They are nice. Okay. So 2 questions, kind of the same. Yeah, I'm going to put them both up real quick. Brandon says, when are you ready to make the jump into React? And Mantes says, when is it right to learn React JS?
So I think you need to know JS in order to do React, obviously. So like you can learn them at the same time. You can start learning React and learn JS at the same time, or you can take some JS courses and then jump into React. But after JS, definitely, you've got to learn a framework, I think, to be competitive in the job market. Yeah, everyone's going to want you to know. They're building it with some framework. So, I mean, as good as vanilla JS is, it's not a templating framework. And so once you go beyond where my site has multiple pages or I've got dynamic content, you need some kind of like framework to help you do that. So it's React, Angular, ASP.NET, something like that. So.
Okay. Adrian Gonzalez says, I've been a self-taught .NET dev for several years. That's awesome. And I've been fairly successful at it. But the older I get, the more I notice the gaps in my knowledge. Would mentoring make sense in my case?
Maybe. I mean, like if you want someone to teach you, but like what I'm thinking is if you already have several years of success at doing what you're doing, start taking some other courses in where you think your gap is, and you'll realize how you can make those leaps. So, sometimes as we get older, some people quit learning,
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
think
that's the
that's
thing, right?
truly
Don't
what
quit
makes you
learning.
old is when you quit learning, not necessarily age. But I have to teach myself stuff all the time. So like I would try that first. I mean, I don't know, or maybe um, it's kind of crazy, but maybe a boot camp makes sense. We have a lot of people that just says, okay, I've been doing web forms for a minute, and
Yeah.
yes, I could learn MVC, I could do it myself, but I can do it in 3 months here at your boot camp way faster than I could on my own.
And they
But
often kind of
that's
breeze through it more than your average
yeah,
student, like
right.
because
Which we've
they're
had
not having
several
to
that
learn.
have done that, and they do
Yeah,
really well, and then they walk out and get a job.
because they're not having to
So
learn the concepts, the basic
yeah,
stuff,
so
as
boot
well
camp
as
would
the.
be mentoring in your case, Adrian, where we would just show you how to do it, talk to you every day, and that kind of stuff. Or maybe it's something like the self-paced course or some kind of other course that you can take.
You may also find this may seem weird, but you may also find that mentoring somebody else might help you too.
Yeah,
Maybe take
right,
somebody under your wing that needs to learn some basic stuff. That might
right,
actually help you too, because you'll solidify your own knowledge and realize you probably know more than you think you do.
right. So what I would do is I would learn if you're on like say you've been doing .NET, but you've been doing primarily desktop up into this point, then definitely for your career advancement and future employment, you need to learn something on the website. So like definitely, or just stay in that desktop world. But I think there's way more opportunity on the web world. All right. Hope that helps, Adrian. Thanks for the question. Good question.
Yeah, thank you. Not sure we can answer this one in any kind of depth, but what should I learn to become a full stack web developer in Python? It's kind of specific. Why is it got to
I
be
think
in
it's
Python?
Django. I think that's the best one. I mean, that's the most popular one out there.
I'm guessing it's probably
Django.
because they already know Python. Is that I guess that would be
Yeah.
the probably
Or
the
it's
reason
Django
behind being there.
PHP. Which one is which? Let me Google it. I should know that offhand, shouldn't I? I should know every framework by hand.
No, because you don't use them. You shouldn't. It'd be weird if you did. Maybe you're walking encyclopedia of like frameworks. I don't know. Just you're welcome.
Yeah.
You up a few more questions here while you're looking that up.
I'm getting a whole course on PHP right now. I'm doing it right now. So
On PHP, I think he was asking about Python though, right?
So Laravel would be the most famous one, I would think, at this point. If that's what you want to do, that's what I would learn. The other ones I haven't heard of. So if I had to pick one right now and I was going to do it in PHP, I'm going to
No,
be
it's Python,
Laravel.
not PHP. It's Python.
I mean, did
That's what
I
I was
look
asking.
up Python?
Yeah, I think you
looked up
looked up. No,
Python.
no. I think Django. You were right. Django is the one.
Yeah, Django's the one. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So Django.
Oh, we got a super chat. Let's see. Better late than never. Alantonio/Alantino. Thank you for the super chat. Let me put your thing up here too.
So yeah, are SQL certs of any value? I think the certs, they're kind of valuable, but at the same time, they're still going to interview you. I mean, like they're never going to go, "Oh, you got a cert, so therefore you're good on your SQL
Yeah.
skills." So like
Right.
they don't have the bang that you think they do. In other words, like, but I mean, it doesn't hurt if you've got the time to pass, a SQL cert. I mean, that's fine. They're not too expensive to grab. I think they're $99
I
to sit
think it's
for it. You
because
got to study
I mean,
100 questions or
am I
something.
right in saying it's not super complex SQL? Do I just know? I mean, I know SQL enough to like. Is it
The
like
language is smaller
okay,
from just a pure like transact SQL statement.
right?
Being good at it, there is some experience
Okay,
level,
so there's a
like, but
skill
like,
level thing with it, like an experience
yeah,
skill
yeah.
level.
I mean,
Okay,
like,
okay,
or like an intuition, say, oh, okay, that join's going to kill you because I know there's a million rows
okay,
on the other side.
okay. Because I'm gonna
Stuff
say,
like
I
that.
feel like I could write like a join statement and pull some data
You
from
could,
a. I mean,
yeah,
I've played with it enough. I don't.
100%.
I mean, I'm like, I don't think it's rocket science.
No, it's smaller in scale than say C# or something like that because it's
Okay,
very specific in what it does.
right, right. Okay. But thank you for the super
Al
chat.
Antonio wants to rule that board, man.
I will.
So,
I'll put your name up there. Look, it's gonna put your name up in lights. Now that you've done it.
yeah, that's it. 3 out of the
Here's an
5.
interesting question we don't get very often from Drew Mac. For mobile, desktop, and web development, how deep of knowledge is necessary of low-level hardware for the purpose of maximizing speed, efficiency, and security?
Dude, I think that's been solved, Drew Mac. When you look at the 3 major kind of cross-platform platforms out there. So like you've got the Microsoft one, which it's called Xamarin. It may be called Maui next year. I'm not sure, whatever. But you got Xamarin, React Native, and then you also have I'm losing out Flutter. But even with, if you just said, I want to just do iOS and you just take the Apple tools, they have abstracted you away from the hardware in general. So like,
Right.
I don't think you need to have much deep knowledge of low level hardware for writing mobile apps, unless you're doing something that's crazy specific to something,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but even then, I don't think you'll be able to even like do what you want on it. So,
Oh, cool. Tech Rally, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I'll answer your question in a second. But yeah, I agree. And you'll see some people like will say, "Oh, you've got to know how it all works." Like,
yeah.
yeah, but
No,
you really
I
don't.
think that
Like,
the SDKs are built so that you don't have to know that. They handle the complexity for you in modern frameworks. And I would say absolutely use a framework. And I would say if I'm starting a mobile project today, I'm picking from one of the 3 cross-platform frameworks. I'm not building that in iOS only and then turn around and building that in Go or Dart on Java. I am picking a cross-platform that I want to build on, like Flutter, React Native, or Xamarin. I'm picking Xamarin because it's C#. But if you want JavaScript for React Native, if you want Dart, then pick Flutter. It doesn't really matter what you pick, but I would pick one of those, and that's gonna protect you from knowing everything about how the camera works and the shutter speed and like that kind of stuff.
right.
All of that stuff you just call the APIs and the SDK, and it'll do the stuff that you need. So unless you're writing SDKs for iOS, then
Right, then of course
you
it's
know,
going to matter. Right.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
There's probably
But if you're
there
just
are
writing an
certain
app,
circumstances where it is, yeah, that's going to matter. But
yeah,
trust me, your
yeah,
mom and pop place down the road who your inventory management system you're building for, milliseconds don't mean anything to them. It's because that's what you're
yeah,
talking about at the
exactly.
end of the day. You're talking about
Right,
like, it's millisecond improvements. It's like they don't care. I'm sure
right,
there's lots of companies that do. I get it, but you're also, as a developer, unless you're a senior at that thing, probably not making those decisions anyway. So you're just being told what to do.
yeah,
You don't have to
right.
worry about it.
So I hope
Okay.
that helps, Drew Mac.
Teko wants to know when you can come on. Whenever, message me.
Whenever, man, send me an
Just
invite.
whenever you want to
Tech
come on
Rally.
here. Just if you got something to talk about, let me know, and you can come on anytime. Same goes
And
for
I'll
Paul
come
too.
on
Any
your
of you
show
guys
too.
can come on.
Anytime, yeah. Like, let me know. I'll definitely be on your show for sure.
Yep.
Um,
I'll
and
come on
then
and talk about
yeah,
YouTube.
Tech,
Think about that.
yeah, yeah. We can talk about YouTube. So that'd be kind of cool.
Somebody actually had a YouTube related question. I think. What do I do with that?
Okay.
Kind of. Maybe not appropriate because Black Hole says a game developer Unity 3 awesome. Want a live stream editor to YouTube? How is it possible? Look at something simple like StreamYard. I would start there. You can live
What
stream.
I mean, what do you mean by
I'm guessing
live stream editor?
I'm guessing just
He
well,
wants
I'm
to
guessing he just wants to stream like live coding, screen sharing.
Oh, well, yeah, you just share your screen on
Just go to
StreamYard.
use
and then
something
you
like
should be
StreamYard.
good.
It's web based. You don't need any software. You can go to something more
Yeah,
complex like OBS, which is software you got to
yeah,
download and stream, but it's a little bit more complex.
right.
If you just want to keep it simple, just use StreamYard. It's just easy.
And StreamYard will take you to YouTube and Twitch. You can do
Yeah, you should have multiple places.
multi-point casting. It's $20 a month,
It's the
so
easiest place to
it's
start.
kind
They
of
have a
cool.
free version, I think, don't they?
Yeah,
They have a free
they may
like
not.
StreamYard branded version, I think, too. So you can
Yeah,
really start out.
yeah.
Like,
If you want your own branding, you got to pay. And then there's
yeah,
also OBS, which is free, but there's just more to OBS than the setup. Like you just
yeah,
gotta
it
like
takes a minute.
sit with it
Yeah,
for a minute.
yep, yep.
But when you see the Twitch streamers and they got all those cool overlays and all that kind of stuff, and if that's what you're going for, just know that is OBS or vMix. Pretty much, we use
Yeah,
vMix here. That's what
yeah.
you're looking at here. OBS is another one that's highly used in the gaming world. So
OBS is totally free too, by the way. So
yeah,
it is literally open
just
source.
complex a little bit.
And yes, I guess that is the thing with, I think it's back to SQL. Easy to learn, hard to master.
Yeah.
I guess that's like a lot of things, right? Yeah. If this was a question or not, but I'm gonna put it anyway. When hiring managers looking through a GitHub project, what makes them hire someone other than others? Oh, that is a good question. That is a great
I've got
question.
a deep cut here for you.
Go for it.
They might not be looking at your GitHub.
Yeah. The hiring manager,
and so like
especially the HR person, they're definitely not looking at your GitHub.
Here's what I think can give you something over someone else is having a rockstar portfolio. Give them something easy to click on and see something working. I think that is the best thing. So if you've got something in GitHub out there already working, publish it. Now, okay, if it's a desktop app, I get it. It's hard to show a desktop app. But
if it was desktop, I would still make a video or something to put on a portfolio.
I'd make a video of it, stick it on the portfolio, and show them screenshots and what it does and how it works, and maybe show some code.
And then give them the choice to dig through the code if they want to dig through the code.
Yeah,
they may not even go that far. They may just think like, "Wow, okay, this is great. Like this works exactly."
But they're not gonna hire you just on your GitHub and say, "Hey, I was looking at your GitHub. You want a job?"
Green.
You still got to get through yeah. It's all you got to get an interview.
Yeah.
And so like you win at the interview, you might can get called because of your GitHub. I'm not saying you shouldn't have one. You should. I think a portfolio can help you move that needle.
I think quicker. The GitHub is like the backup to the portfolio, right? It's like you're going to have both of the things, really. Use your GitHub to obviously like have your code stored out there and that kind of stuff, and do versioning and all that kind of stuff, but then publish it somewhere so they can actually see it. And I guarantee you, a lot of them won't even look at the GitHub. They'll look at the published site.
Let me tell you a true story, Kevin. I've been trying to hire someone for 7 days now. I think I've had this job post out there for 7 days. I have yet to someone send me a portfolio. I've seen zero.
Crazy.
Also, I have not looked at a single GitHub repo yet.
Okay, so that answers this question right here. Look, surely they all look at your GitHub activity to see you're making pushes and pulls, etc.
Dude, I'm looking at what you like. I'm looking at resumes to see, kind of like trying to guess. Like, okay, it looks like this person has the skills. Looks like this person has the skills, and I'm doing callbacks to bring them in for an interview after that. Right. That's what I'm doing. Now, here's the scary thing is, Kevin, and I don't want to call this person out. So if you apply for it, I'm not picking on you, but I'm going to help you with your job search right now. Someone sent me, they applied for the job straight out of a boot camp, not ours, some other boot camp.
Okay.
And he didn't have a portfolio link.
Wow.
So his last job was at like a convenience store or something like that.
Okay.
Graduated from a boot camp. I'm like partial to boot camps, but like he doesn't have a portfolio link.
Right.
Like, what do you want me to do with it, man? Like, what do you want me to do?
Right. He has no proof that he can code.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? You're asking for proof that you can do the job, and he has zero proof that he can do the job.
Instant no. So like, in other words, what I call that is the soft no. And this is why I developed my curriculum on how to get people jobs, because I know what happens when I see them. I'm not using scanning software when I see mine. I'm not that big, but I'm looking through all those resumes. And if someone had a portfolio, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to go look at that. I'm not going to clone a repo from Git and try to get running on my machine to see if it works.
Right. Number
one, I don't know what's in the Git.
Yeah. You're just not from a security perspective. You're just not going to do it. Right.
I'm not going to do it
that
ever.
Alone.
I have no idea. And do I want to look through it? I mean, not really. I mean, I would rather if you could show me something working, and then okay, so I can make a judgment call on it. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. Yep. And then I would follow up and call that person in and ask them some detailed questions.
I'm going to say a couple of questions also, because people are going to be like, well, you could just copy that from somewhere or do something else, just a published project. But no, as soon as you're going to interview them and you're going to ask them a couple of questions, you're going to know for sure whether that's their work or not. Because they're going to know it inside and out.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it's not the foolproof method that we all think it is. And then there's going to be the random guy on Twitter that claims to be a hiring manager that said he looked through 500 GitHub repos last month hiring someone.
Right.
A, not
Because
a
there's
hiring
always
manager.
one.
I would almost guarantee it. And then if you are and you're doing it, props.
Yeah, well,
Props to you.
I don't know. Think about your
I mean,
time.
like, I
You've
can't
wasted
do
a
it.
ton of it. Like,
I mean, it's a lot of time, like, gee whiz, but maybe, just maybe, this hire has to work for you. And so, like, you're just like, this has to be a home run. So, like, I get it. You would do that kind of research. But it seems to me that you would whittle the list down before you start going through every single GitHub link you get.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's just silly.
That's my opinion on it.
I back it. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Drew Mack has another question. Thanks, guys. I've been trying to become more comfortable with the fact that I don't need to know everything in order to be considered a competent developer.
Yeah, man. So that's true.
I mean, nobody knows everything.
You never will be. You'll never know everything. I mean, like, the question is, can you solve the problem presented to you? That's all that matters. I mean, not that you knew it all off total recall. I mean, like, that's, I mean, you're always learn stuff on every single project. And I think this goes into your mentality when you said, do I need to know everything about the underlying iOS in order to write a mobile app? I think Drew Mack asked that question. And so you need to get over that. I mean, like, just get over it. Can I build the mobile app? That's what they're asking you to build.
Right.
They're not asking you to build an operating system.
And the other thing is, generally what you're going to find is you probably have this fear of, like, is somebody going to be looking over my shoulder and the first time I go and Google something, does that make me look stupid? Like, no and no. They're not. They just want you to produce it, and everybody does it. So, it's nothing unusual there.
And sometimes I'll go through brain farts, Kevin, and I'll interview something. I'll Google something yesterday. I don't know why I did this. I'm just going to be real with everyone for a second. I was creating an A tag, and I said, is that HRF or SRC? And I Googled it real quick while I was sitting there.
That's great. So, no, you're right, because it's like,
because the link statements and the A statements in the HTML spec, they should be the same, but they're not. So, like, sometimes you just forget.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. That's great. So yes, don't feel bad about not knowing everything. Definitely. Okay, let's do one last question. I like this question. Steph wants to know: can you give me portfolio tips? How to lay it out? What top projects you'd like to see in it?
Hey, you know what, Steph? We have a fantastic video about that. We go through it in depth, and you can just watch it on the channel.
Let me see if I can find you the link.
And we'll send it to you.
Because we've talked about this a lot.
A lot. It's not that we don't want to answer your question. While he's sending you that link in chat,
it's more detailed
than the broad steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in general, what you want to do is have an opening. You want to have your kind of portfolio with your picture on it and kind of candid shots. What I think is like shots in action, not necessarily headshots. And then you want to have a skill section that clearly lays out what you can do. And then we have things called coding challenges or mini sites, or like really small scale projects that we build out. And then we have 3 major kind of full stack web dev projects. Now this is for web dev. So, but I think you need to build a business-based project and put it on your portfolio. Now, if you can't get to 3, do 1. If you can't build all the things that we build in the bootcamp, that's okay. But we go through the different sections that we think needs to happen in there and what the differences are. They're also, all your projects are in fact hosted. Now, you use Netlify. We use Netlify and Heroku here. And so what you can do is you can actually drive traffic to your portfolio by having multiple inbound links coming from other sources. So like they all need to be hosted. And also each individual project should also have a landing page, so that if they find it off the portfolio, the landing page details like, what does this thing do? What was it built in? How long did it take you to build it? What is it? What are we trying to achieve with this project? And then everything needs to have the CTA's call to action, which is hire me. Working contact page, CTAs in between the major sections, which are call to actions, and then a call to action above the fold, like in the hero image at the top, where we'll say, would love to work. I'm available for conversations or something like that.
That was surprisingly one of the things. Last time we did a bunch of portfolio reviews, that was surprised me that a lot of people hadn't nailed that part. It's like you put all this work in, you make this amazing looking portfolio, and then there's like the contact part is like buried. on some sub page, or
Yeah,
it was a pop up
exactly.
that
How do
like
you
didn't
find
work
me?
quite well or something. It's like no, that should like you have to think about like what's the action from this page. Like yeah, you want it to look nice and do all these things, but what ultimately are they going to do? And the answer is they need to contact you. So make that part easy. Put a form on there.
Yeah.
Put your number on there, email address, whatever it is. You can,
And then once you build this fantastic portfolio, make sure it's referenced prominently on LinkedIn. It's in Twitter. It's in all of your email contacts. It's on your resume. It's everywhere where someone could find you. It's a link back to your portfolio where they can look at it. And I would put it, if you have GitHub projects, I'd put a link to my portfolio in every single README at the top. Here's how you can run my project and get and look at it. Here's how it's published, and here's my portfolio link. I put it in the README, and so that people can find you is the main thing.
Yeah, you're creating like this web of points on the internet, right, where people can find you, and they all lead back to your portfolio because that's where you want them to go. That's where you want them to see all your stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
We have here the Lee. Thank you for the super chat. So this will be our last one, I guess. Our coding tutorial project's bad if I'm making major changes and putting my own quirks to it. Oh, that's a great question. But you're thinking about it.
And I think you have you've answered your own question. No,
you have.
So Colt Steel has a project called, I think it's called Yelp Camp.
Yep, okay? Yelp Camp. Yeah, that's it.
So you see Yelp Camp all the time. The problem with a Yelp Camp is it looks exactly like the Colt Steel thing. So you could go through that verbatim and just copy it, and then suddenly have Yelp Camp. That doesn't.
I'm sure people have tried that.
Yeah, no, I know they do. And so, like, what you can do is take Yelp Camp, rename it, change up the way it looks, the way it functions, add some extra features to it. I think I talked about in a video like what I would do with Yelp Camp, which is I would add like real data from the different camps and parks, and
from like a camping API, which does exist.
Yeah, exactly. I would bring in some other things to it and put your own twist on it, and I think that is really cool. I mean, I think so. You're on the right. You've answered your own question.
Yeah, it's it's not bad if you add your own quirks. It is great if you add your own. I'm not even going to call them quirks. I'm going to say your own enhancements to whatever the project is. I would suggest definitely do that.
Where can I take this? What else can I do?
And even think about it in a totally different way.
You can learn a lot about Yelp Camp, and you can make Yelp something else. That's not Camp.
Right, and exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the other thing too. Is like repurpose the parts that you've learned into something totally different.
Right.
Like that's another way to take it. You're not just adding your own quirks. You're saying, this camp website thing. Now I'm going to make one that's about cars. It's essentially the same thing, right? It's the same thing. It's just a different commodity. It's not a camping site now. It's a car, or maybe it's a vacation. Maybe it's a hotel or something, or it could really be anything. Think about totally repurposing it. But yeah, good question.
Good question, though, Lee.
Cool. I think we're ready to wrap up.
All right. Thank you for all the super chats today, and appreciate it. Put their names on the board one more time, Kevin. See your name in lights there. There you go.
What's name in lights?
The Lee, top of the board. So
Rally,
appreciate
Valentino,
all the time
Brent,
that you guys spent with us today.
We appreciate it.
All right. Thule Encott looks like he's a new recent member. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah, cool. Oh yeah, thank you. So I don't know if Tully's here right now. I haven't seen him in chat. So yes, thank you so much. And thank you to our other ones.
The next time we have a contest, you get more luck.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for everybody who is a channel member. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we will see you guys on Tuesday, and we do appreciate all the things you've given us. And good luck. Have a great Memorial Day, and we'll be back on Tuesday.
We will, and I'll post one last thing. I will post that little teaser on Discord later today. I will do it.
Okay, we'll put it out there. We'll something to show you that we're working on the course and there's stuff going on here. So
yeah. And we'll see you guys Tuesday.
All right, see you later. Keep coding, guys.